Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Wayne's World of Science and Technology. Today, we're going to look at one of the things I've been telling you that people have been ignoring, and that is Crimea is a millstone around the Russian Federation's neck. I tend to watch a lot of combat footage, and I track things like this. Look, every time Ukraine hits Crimea, Russia has to move more stuff into it to protect it. And, well, okay, look, recently it destroyed two of these planes. These planes are not easily replaceable. I mean, they could probably take another type of airframe and fit the same stuff onto it, but that's going to take time. So losing two of these, that was major. And there we are. Boom. Okay. Massive. Oh, gotta love these things. Back to the start. There we are. Simferopol. Just after 20 minutes to a gas station receiving fuel, you've got a huge lineup. Because what else are you going to do? You don't got gas, you can't get to work, you can't go shopping. I mean, fuel is major. Without it, you're screwed. Okay, then there's this guy. Oh, yeah. Igor. Igor Gherkin is a lot like Dmitry Prigozhin. He's one of those villains who you just have to watch because he's so off the wall and so wacky. Anyway, here's his most recent letter to his fans. And I should probably adjust the size. Oops. Where is it? Don't forget about it. Don't worry about it for now. Basically, 3 days or 3 weeks. Well, but think of that. He said, fight for a year and a half against a country and everybody expected in 3 days or 3 weeks. Now, this is where it's really funny because I wasn't expecting their fall in 3 days or 3 weeks. I wasn't expecting Ukraine to fall at all. But a lot of people, including Gherkin, thought that Ukraine would be a pushover. Yes, I wonder, will anybody ever be held accountable for the fact we went to war with a show parade type ceremonial battalion army? Will anybody be held responsible for these stupid, reality detached plans that led to serious defeats and enormous losses? The problem is not that I search for blood or revenge. That is the last thing anyone should think about when fate of their country is at stake. My position is this. If mistakes are not admitted, they will not be corrected. It is very bad when an error is not acknowledged as an error, but is instead treated as an achievement, and the people who committed it receive rewards rather than punishment. Can you tell he's just a little bit upset? Apparently that is exactly what our Chief of General Staff is being awarded in another set of medals. And don't you know for what? For our troops advancing in certain districts at a snail's pace, only lose the occupied territory due to the enemy's counterattacks. Or the general assessment we will fall a year and a half behind the enemy in the field of unmanned aerial vehicles. We're already seeing strikes on our Black Sea Fleet bases. Where is that Black Sea Fleet that a year and a half ago supposedly completely controlled the Black Sea and its airspace? Where did that fleet disappear to so that the enemy can now strike noble assist with unmanned boats and we are completely unable to prevent it? Or what is happening over Crimea? What is happening in the neighboring regions where the opponent is striking again and again? In the end, who will answer for all this? One of our ministers was promoted, formally perhaps, but still. One general was sent to Tatarstan as an advisor. A third well-known commander continues in leadership and continues to receive rewards. What on earth is happening to us? Something must be done. A solution must be found. If we cannot win the war, then maybe we should really get out of it. But our partners will not allow that. We must think about how to force our partners to themselves lead the war. Questions arise for our military leadership if they cannot do this. Now that's a really interesting statement. Overall, I assess the situation as extremely serious and steadily deteriorating. Unfortunately, I do not see any prospect of a quick victory over Ukraine because nothing is being done to prepare for such a victory. Igor Girkin is one of the most ultranationalists of the ultranationalists in Russia. And quite frankly, if he's this upset, yeah. Okay, let's go over here. Russia launches Shaheeds from the western coast of Ukraine for the first time. Well, this is not surprising. Shaheeds can be launched from anywhere. The launches will cause problems, of course, because now they're coming from a different direction. But again, Crimea is not defensible. These systems can be and will be taken out. Well, I should say they're going to try and take them out. Let's face it, Shahed launchers can move, but I expect to see some blowing up soon. Something is burning on the territory of an oil depot in Feodosia, Crimea. Burn, baby, burn. On the night of September 30th, an SOF drone hit an S-400 Triumph air defense system radar in Crimea. Launchers for the missiles really aren't that important. One radar can handle half a dozen or more launchers. Take out the radar, and all the launchers are useless until you've got another radar. And radar systems aren't something that you keep a lot of extra stock, usually. I mean, some countries probably do. I would imagine that China has a lot of extra radar systems squirreled away, and probably the United States has too, but they've got money. The Russian Federation is poor, horribly poor. They can't afford to do that. So every time one of these systems goes down, they're out it until the next time they can build, until they can build another new one. Or they have to move one from somewhere else. Every one they move from mainland Russia to Crimea opens up more paths for Ukrainian drones and missiles to hit into Russia. It's a lose-lose proposition. You defend Crimea, you open holes in Russia. You don't defend Crimea, or you defend Russia, you leave holes in Crimea. You can't win. Okay, black market. Oops, what happened here? Oh, okay, sorry. This wasn't a video, it's a photo. The black market gasoline prices in Crimea are closing in on 200 rubles per liter. This day it was 189. Well, that's a bit of a hike. Now, I'm not sure what the actual pricing is there. Russian fuel has been subsidized for years, so their prices don't necessarily match with outside prices. Okay, I think this is basically a report of the same hit, but there's a better picture of the S-400 radar. Okay, to break Putin, Ukraine needs to make. I can't even talk tonight. To break Putin, Ukraine needs to make Crimea unlivable, former UK defense minister says. Yep. Exactly. Because Putin put a lot of his prestige on retaking Crimea. Well, if he loses Crimea, bye-bye prestige. Oh, this is another Feodosia report of an oil depot being attacked. Burn, baby, burn. And oil depots burn real nice. This is the long-range drone strike hitting that oil depot. Ooh. There she goes. Now that's a lot of energy being released. A lot of fuel going up in a big column of fire and smoke. Okay, another report on the same one. Ukrainian defense forces attack one of the largest oil depots in Crimea. Well, oh, more pics of the Feodosia oil depot close up. That looks like it would not be a fun fire to fight. I'd probably make a horrible fireman because, well, I don't like fire all that much. It's not that type of fire. Campfires are different. Guys, there's practically no gasoline at any gas station. Yeah. Wondered why they were hitting fuel depots. I really wondered. That was kind of puzzling. But yeah, it makes a connection. You hit the fuel depots, there's no gas. Direct hit on an S-400 radar. Likely in Crimea. They don't have an actual... See the transporter erector launchers back there? And you've got the radar... Sorry, let's go back here to the start. You got the radar here. You got a couple TELs here. Looks like there's another TEL right here and probably the command vehicle. So the command vehicle may have also been peppered, but the radar has definitely been damaged, if not destroyed. We'll call it damaged for now because we haven't actually seen a close-up pic. UAVs wounded 4 servicemen in Crimea, hit the radar of an S-400 air defense system of the military unit 44750. Destroyed the S-400 launcher. The command post received minor damage. Okay, so I guessed right on that. The soldier was wounded. That is from a Russian telegram channel, folks. Oh, well, we don't need to see that. He's just repeating everything else. The line of cars at a gas station near an oil depot where the remaining fuel is burning. I can imagine the folks there are feeling really, really energized right now, seeing all their fuel go up in flames. Let's go back to the start and play. A Nevo M unit, a Nevo M unit, and another Nevo M unit. Oh, nice. Nevo M's are extremely important radar systems. They're long range. And, well, here we go. The boat's off on its way. I can enlarge that. I forgot about that. Yeah. Three Nevo M's. Command post. Oh, here we go. Bye-bye radar. It may not totally destroy the radar system, but I don't think it's going to be detecting much for the next little while. Nope, here comes the next one. And finally, we're coming in for number 3. Bombs away. I like that. I really like that. Yeah. Now, you could argue as to whether or not something else would make a better target, but really, to take out the radar, they can't see what's going on, so that's what I'd go for. Tonight I couldn't fill up with gasoline. I've got less than half a tank left. I'm trying to save as much as I can. The situation is only going to get worse in the near future. Now, Russia is going to do its best. I mean, they're going to do carpooling and every other thing they can to save fuel. But there's a limit to that. We went through this in the during the oil price shocks of the 70s and 80s, and basically we adjusted. But the situation then wasn't as bad as what they're seeing now. Because Ukraine is attacking both storage and the refineries, Russia has actually had to increase the amount of crude it's shipping out and start importing refined fuels. And this makes things difficult because the pipelines that are moving the crude to the ports cannot be used to bring in the fuel. It basically, you've got a single pipeline, you can only put one thing through at a time, and you'd have to reverse the pipeline the entire way to get, yeah, you get the idea. So basically they're doing trucks and trains, and there's limits to what trucks and trains can do. And a couple more things. Ooh, nice spark there. Sorry. Let's just, oh heck. This is what I want. There we are. Ooh. I would not want to be where those explosions went off. Russian Minister of Defense report. They are claiming they killed 1,450 Ukrainians, 19 armored vehicles, including 3 tanks, including a Leopard, 3 M113s, 2 Kazakh, a Senator armored vehicle, and an Humvee, 18 artillery systems, 64 units of special automotive equipment, 112 UAVs of the airplane type, 16 electronic warfare stations. Now, is this true? We don't know. I mean, the Russian Minister of Defense at one point reported that they shot down the Ukrainian Air Force 3 times over, so that was about a year and a half ago. I'm not really trusting their statements. Oh, somebody else getting in on the analysis thing. Hey, if you want to help out. And just a second, I want to show you something in particular. This post, note the date, February 24th, 2022. Honest to God, I was in shock that morning. I had assured my ex-wife that there was no way Putin would be stupid enough to invade Ukraine, and I waited to have her laughing at me, telling me, "You were wrong." Well, it wouldn't be the first time that I was wrong. But anyway, so I posted this that morning. A lot of folks may be questioning my sanity for saying that Vladimir Putin has just killed himself and possibly Russia too. It all depends upon the actions of the governments headed by Joe Biden, Boris Johnson, and Justin Trudeau, etc. Now, note that all those politicians are retired now, but hey. Russia has a lot of resources, but also a demographic problem. The population is dropping due to a lack of immigration, and I should have added also here, due to a minuscule birth rate. Russia is not a sought-after destination for immigration. If you have your choice, you would probably want to go to Europe or North America. That's my personal opinion. Russia also has huge technology issues due to a lack of funds to upgrade infrastructure. Now, when I say they got a lack of funds to upgrade infrastructure, a lot of people say, but Russia's got all this money from the oil they've been selling. That's quite true. But they weren't using it that way. They were stacking it away in their emergency account for now. And it didn't get spent where it might have done some good, like upgrading some factories. Anyway, the lack of infrastructure upgrades in a variety of critical industries means that certain sanctions would cause the Russian economy to begin a slow motion crash, probably taking 4 to 5 years. I think. I don't have solid numbers for the time. It's a guess. Now, no, I said 4 to 5 years. We're just over 3.5 years into this. So I'm still technically on time. I have a suspicion it may be more 4 than 5, at least if Ukraine keeps on nailing the fuel system in Russia this way. I do, however, have solid numbers on critical manufacturing plants and companies in Russia that could be expanded if they could buy the technology. Specific sanctions on the technologies for those critical plants would cause a slide that would make Soviet times look enticing. Now, when I first said this, I got a fair bit of pushback from a bunch of people because they said, oh yeah, Russia could just build all of it. The problem is Russia can't. Russia has been importing machine tools. And without machine tools, you can't build stuff. Now, yes, they can import machine tools from China, but they aren't the same. Chinese manufacturing is done to different standards, and a lot of it's done for the Chinese market. Yes, they export a fair bit too, but they don't export it to the same places that we do. So basically, switching to Chinese would be like, oh, I think a good way of putting it, going from gasoline to diesel in your car. It isn't easy. You got to replace the engine. Anyways, I finish off. Russia can't win. I have no idea why Putin is doing this. He could be working off bad intelligence, be suffering from early stage dementia, or maybe just be so out of touch that he has no idea the reaction he's setting off. I almost feel for the poor bastard. He is toast. Well, my opinion then, my opinion now. I don't see how Vladimir can win this. Matter of fact, I don't see how Vladimir Putin gets out of this alive. My personal take is that somebody is probably going to arrange for him to have a close encounter with an open window. But I could be wrong. It wouldn't be the first time. I've been wrong before. You've seen one example tonight. Anyways, that's it for now, folks. Like, share, subscribe, and all that guff you got something out of it, and have a good day.